The more we go into virtual worlds, the more, the amount of people who rely on porn for sex, who can't even be bothered going out and finding a partner because it's all too difficult. It's becoming less and less about the intimacy and more about just the getting off part.
We're now in an AI world as well.
Yes, terrifying.
Which is very interesting.
Yes.
Because you're now, we've heard about sex dolls and stuff like that over the years, but a sex doll that can speak to you with such depth and reason and apparent emotional nuance and understanding is really, really scary. Mm-hmm. You can think, I was thinking about all the different ways that AI is going to disrupt us as like the social fabric of society. And one of the really clear ways that was, you can now have a sex doll in your house that speaks to you, that comforts you, that understands your problems, understands what you're going through and can give you unbelievable advice, will never shout at you, will never criticize you, and will please you in a personalized way. It will learn how to please you.
Sounds great, doesn't it?
Fantastic.
Let's just swap our partners for that person.
No, but we're right there. We're on the doorstep of that world.
And do you know what though? Think about all the lonely people. Think about all the lonely people that can now have a companion. Think about it like that.
Is it real connection?
Of course it is. If you're somebody who can't find a companion in real life or you're lonely, it's better than a dog, isn't it? I think that's got some really nice applications to it, but it's also got some dire applications to it, because then it ultimately we'll end up with no population, will we? Because no one will be having sex with a real person. Yeah.
So I think you can see the short term. Oh well, Dave's going to be slightly less lonely potentially, right? But if we go up that exponential curve of improvement, we get to a point where this thing is walking, it's talking, it is making your breakfast, your dinner, your whatever, then it's satisfying you on demand. And then you look over at a human and you go, ugh.
They're going to be more interesting than humans though, aren't they?
That's what I'm saying. They're going to be more interesting. They're going to be better in every way.
No, I think humans will be more interesting, surely.
You think?
Do you want somebody it's like a yes person? I don't want a yes person in my life. I want somebody who's going to challenge me.
But do people think they do?
Yeah.
I think people will choose the short term without thinking about the long term of like connection and companionship over time and challenge and different and solving problems. And I think the average person, if they could be faced with if they were to draw their perfect partner, they wouldn't say, I want difficulty and challenge and sometimes to walk out arguments and to be interrupted when the football's on. You're not going
to put that in there. But then I think surely over time, I don't know. I do worry about AI with humans, and I don't share, some people present the argument of we'll be free to do all these amazing esoteric things. We won't. We'll just sit there and look at social media and get fat and drink and sit in our rooms watching porn. That's what we'll do. Yeah,
because we choose the short-term dopamine hit over the long term.
Yeah, instant gratification.
Gosh, that is scary. That's going to be a huge industry.
Yeah.
It already is a big industry.
Is, yeah.
But these living AI sex dolls will be a huge industry.
I don't think they've quite perfected the robot bit though, have they?
So there's a couple of things happening in tandem. Elon Musk is working on his own robots at Tesla. We have Boston Robotics, I believe they're called, who have been working on robots for a long time. But it's going to move very quickly, as all exponential curves do. So now we've got the kind of machine learning, modeling, MLM, AGI, they call it artificial general intelligence stuff, moving quickly. The robotics side, I think, is going to gain pace because now there's a greater demand. But it's really, really, it's one of the things did you see that film Blade back in the day?
No. I saw Lars and the Real Girl. Do you remember that? That was about a guy who had a sex doll.
Oh, really?
And the whole village sort of accepted it. And then when he didn't need her, he got a real person at the end. But no, I didn't see Blade.
There's a scene in this film called Blade where he puts on a headset and it's set, it was 20 years ago, but it was set in the future. Puts the headset on, and this headset, is exactly that. It's an AI that basically gets him off, and he has the time of his life. And actually, they sit. His partner sits opposite him, and they both put the headset on, and they.
Yeah, I think I did see that. Yeah,
it's a scary world.
But that's what we'll be doing. We will be doing that.
We're kind of going that way already with porn, and we talked about this sort of macro decline in sex. Are you hopeful that we can turn that around?
Yes, and really? I have great hope with the young generation of women. I think this is the first generation of women who really have probably the least sexual hang-ups that we've ever had. And I think that, young women are much more adventurous than young men. It's sort of going in a weird direction, I think, that way. And all the young women that I'm in contact with, I'm talking about young women in their 20s, early 30s. We know that young women are more bi-curious than men. We know that young women are more interested in threesomes with two women than men are. We know that young women are more interested in going to a sex club than men are. We know that young women are more interested in polyamory, and they don't want several love relationships. They want the love relationship, and then they want to be able to have sex with men on the side. It's not men thinking like this is women thinking like this. And I think that it's going to make for more interesting relationships. And because women are overturning everything. Like, the motivation for affairs now has completely reversed. So men used to have affairs for sex. Now most men, if they're in a good relationship, will satisfy that with porn, right? Most men. Now men have affairs for love and affection. Women have affairs, they used to have affairs for love that they weren't getting from their partner. Now they have affairs for erotic sex. Sex where they're not looking after their partner. They can be selfish. They don't have to care about whether they hurt his feelings or say, don't do it that way. They're not going to care about whether Stephen doesn't like it if he's being instructed. It's like, do that, do this. They want that sort of sex, right? And that's why they're having affairs. So I feel like my hope is that women are going to take the charge and go forward, and we're going to end up with sex that's more interesting, sex that's less doing everything to please a man, more equal. You know, this is what I need, this is what I want, this is what you need, this is what you want. Let's work out the best way to do that together. Not where, you know, because so many women still now, that's the thing that does disappoint me, is still have sex to please men, still pretend to have orgasms during penetrative sex, because society is brainwashed. We have known that women don't orgasm basically through penetrative sex since Kama Sutra, which was written in the 3rd to 5th century. And yet most men will go, yeah, I've heard about that. It hasn't happened to me. I've just been really lucky. All my girlfriends, you know, I mean, it's just like, they're faking. They're faking because the girl before faked and they feel they have to fake. And, you know, every depiction of sex is that, you know, everybody has this mutual orgasm, simultaneous orgasm together. And that's just how sex is. Well, it's not like that. It's totally not like that at all.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.